Greetings one and all, this is Lloyd Brown and welcome social media family to my vlog. Season 6, episode 4 of the first in 2 web series, this one being the making of the Salute project, followed by the making of the Therapy album. So let's get things started. First and foremost, I'd like to thank all the new viewers that has come across my channel and come across my vlogs. And second of all, I want to welcome forward my regular viewers. So you must know the coup by now. First of all, I'm going to be talking about the original track and how that was conceived. And then in the second half, talk about the Salute mix version of the track and how that also was conceived. Today, I'm going to talk about track 4, It's a Love Thing. Now, It's a Love Thing was one of 2 stonking hit tunes that I recorded alongside Tipper Irie for the Administrators Groove and a Quarter label. I think it was 1994 we recorded those tunes. And around that time, you had a lot of duos that was basically ripping up the charts, national and domestic reggae charts. You had Philip Leo and CJ Lewis. You had Chakademus and Pliers. You had Shabba Ranks and Maxi Priest, General Saint and Don Campbell as well. So there was quite a few duos that was kicking it around the circuit around that time. So I wanted to have a piece of that action as well. There was no one better to fit the equation than with Tipper Irie. I mean, Tipper Irie came from Saxon Sound System, which to me is the Motown of all sound systems. There hasn't been any other sound system that spawned so many bona fide stars from that sound system. Tipper Irie was definitely the first choice. We got together and worked on It's a Love Thing. And the way how that came about was literally when I was recording my Straight No Chaser album, which was my debut album, I came across the track. Before I even go into that, I want to introduce you to those who make up the Administrators. You have Dwayne Burke and you have Colin Burke, which is his brother, and William Flowers. So Dwayne was basically the vibes man, Colin was the singer, and Flowers was the engineer. He was the techie, he was the nerd of the trio. For me, they were the kings of the one-drop lovers rock tunes of that day. Vivian Jones, who had a hit with Sugar Love on the label, and the Administrators themselves, they had a bag of tunes, they had a bag of hit tunes. Emergency was one, Move Your Sexy Body was another, She's My Lady was another. So the repertoire was very rich. But the one thing I loved about the Administrators, they just had that one drop down to a T, like yeah man, tough one drop. Oh, also who else? Trevor Dixon had a hit tune with Woman of Moods. So that was the stable that all those tunes basically came from. When I got into their circles, the first thing was to basically record a couple of tunes to see how it would fare. Because back in the day, you could literally record 3 tunes a year and you eat enough food. But for me, I wanted to make an album. That was my desire. And I thought the Administrators was a perfect fit. Groove and a Quarter label was a perfect fit for me to do that. So we was recording as we do. And I was looking at some tracks, and there was a rhythm track, and it was called Marcus. And apparently it was commissioned for someone else to voice on, and they wanted to have it as a roots and culture track. But it did not sound like a roots and culture track to me. I mean, obviously you've heard It's a Love Thing now many times. So to imagine a roots vibe on it just didn't manifest for me. But anyway, I listened to the rhythm track and I absolutely loved it, and I asked Dwayne if I can voice on it, to which he said, well, try a thing. If it ain't working, it's not going to work and we're not going to go with it, okay? So I was happy with that and I recorded it, It's a Love Thing. I had the idea to put Tipper on the track simply to kind of bring the whole combination thing from a different angle, because like I said, it's been done with the other acts that I've mentioned before. We had recorded it and we put it out there and it was a hit, instant smash hit. And at that time I was touring with Black Heroes in the Hall of Fame, and we was due to go to the United States to tour there. And I didn't have much time to stay in the UK before I left. So me and Dwayne actually sat down, and Dwayne asked me, Lloyd, can you name me the things that girlfriends and wives get miserable about? And I wrote a list. I wrote a long list, and that song manifested into the song you now know as Stress. And obviously Tipper collaborated with me on that, and that song became my biggest hit. It spent like around, I think it was around 11 weeks at #1, and it garnered us a major recording deal with Arista Records, who was the label of Whitney Houston, Aretha Franklin, TLC at the time. We was up there, you know what I mean? But anyway, going back to It's a Love Thing, that's how that track came about. Now fast forwarding to the present, with the Salute mix of that track, it was one of those tracks that the artist specifically wanted to sing. There was no second choice or third choice. The gentleman in question that voiced the track, he is now known as Simon, but you all know him by a different name. And I'm not going to tell you what his name was before, because he specifically said that that's the name he wants to be known as from here on in. But for those eagle-eared among you, if you know your music and you know your vocalists and you know your writers, then you will know who this gentleman is. And it was just such a smooth transition, as with all of the other tracks that I recorded on the Salute project. I brought in my team. I brought in Otis, who played the bass. I brought in Remy, who played the guitar, and I basically done the rest of the rhythm programming and overdubs, etc, etc, etc. And It's a Love Thing, the Salute mix rebirth, came into play.
To you I'm a stranger, but I feel like I know you, baby, all my life, here and now. As we stand here together, my heart I surrender to the cause of happiness. Maybe it's love, I guess. Paradise is just a heartbeat away. So take me one step closer to your love.
It's one of these stories that I know more than I'm letting on, but I have to honor the gentleman's wishes in just reaching out to you and letting you know, okay, Simon is his name. Simon is the name that he wants to be known by, but we know him as something else. But he's moving on from there, and all I can do is respect that. But his delivery was smooth as ever. It was a fitting way to reinterpret that song, especially coming from that individual. And that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers and sisters, was how It's a Love Thing was made. So with that, I want to bid you guys adieu. And as always, you done know the coup. People, please abstain from foolishness, even your own. Thank you for watching. Thank you for passing through. Thank you for stopping by. And until we link up next time, people, stay blessed. I'm out of here. I'm gone. Laters. Abstain from foolishness.